Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting and scintillating episode of the Chocolate Bros podcast.
It's scintillating. It's exciting. It's animating. It's exacerbating.
It's exacerbating.
It's a bunch of other words that I don't even know.
Wait, I don't think it's exacerbating.
If you're in a good mood, this is going to exacerbate your good mood and put you in an even better mood. If you're hyped up, if you're fired up for chocolate, this is going to exacerbate your fired upness for chocolate. This is an exacerbating podcast.
Is that what exacerbate means?
Oh, you have to look it up, my friend.
I am going to look it up. Hold on.
Go ahead.
I'm going to wait till you start talking about the chocolate making process and you get on a roll, and then I'm going to chime back in.
Well, let's start with this. We are brothers, and we're in the chocolate business. That's why we call this the Chocolate Bros. I'm Brian. That's Adam, and we have a chocolate company, Fortunato Chocolate. You can find us at fortunatochocolate.com on your internet dial. You know?
Yeah. Purveyors of fine chocolate. We've been doing this, man, going on 13, 14 years, something like that.
Going right on that. Yeah.
Bro, in our shop, there's a picture that I love showing to people. It's a shop with a little baby named Brian that they named after you. Because you lived out in the jungle working with Peruvian cocoa bean farmers for more than a decade. And it got to the point where people are naming babies after you and everything.
That's true. That is that particular little baby, that little guy. I haven't seen him recently. I'd like to go see what my namesake looks like. So that is the Vargas family. And the father of the family, Don Regulo Vargas, they live in a hard to get to spot on a really, really bad road across an absolutely rickety.
They're in Cataguas, right?
Cataguas. Yeah. They're in Cataguas, and the Catagua is a particular tree, a spiky, unfriendly tree. And they have this incredible little farm. It's got they're on a little hill, and around it are lower areas with forest and rice paddies. And he's got this really, really unique and interesting cacao. He's one of the few farmers that has his cacao grove right around his house. And it's like I say, it's a really bad road. It's hard to get there. And his farm was actually the first place that we ever harvested cacao from in the Warango area. And there's a picture of his little son taking the beans to where we had a car waiting on the back of a burro of a donkey.
Yeah, and his son, is it his son or his grandson? Also, same kid had his finger cut off by a machete, right?
That's right. He was I believe he was chopping wood for the wood fire for his mom's wood fireplace that she cooks over. Or wood stove that she cooks over, and he had a machete accident, not related to cacao, and he lost half of one of his fingers. And he used to catch a lot of grief. He got the business for that quite regularly.
Let me chime in real quick. Levi, I know we got to be careful not to talk over each other, but one of the funny things about Peru is that people will just give you the business over stuff. Like if you're fat, you're gordo. That's it. That's your nickname. If you're if you're kind of absent-minded or slow-witted, you'd just be like tonto. That's your nickname. Like tonto means like dumb in Spanish. If you get your finger cut off, they'll just make fun of you as being the kid who cut off his finger. I mean, Peruvians will make fun of people.
Absolutely. If you fall before they're asked if you're okay, they'll just break down in riotous laughter. I got two instances of that when I was just in Peru. One, Noé's brother Norbil. One time in Osorco, like 6 years ago, he found this tree that has mandarin oranges that are absolutely sour and inedible, but they look completely normal. And he gave me a little mandarin orange and was like, "Hey, Brian, you got to try this mandarina. It's really, really good. This tree has the best mandarinas like in the whole area." I'm like, "Oh, all right. I love mandarinas." So I peel it. I take a bite. The amount of sour juice that entered my mouth cannot be oversold. It was absolutely excruciating. I'm gagging and spitting it out. Flash cut to me in Peru, 4 weeks ago. Normal walks up, and like the first thing he says to me is, I think he even had one in his hand. He's like, "Hey, I got a mandarina. You want?" Also, maybe a year after that, we were doing a construction. We were I was going to say a Spanish word, ampliación. We were expanding our bean processing facility, and we had a little accident, and I got rather badly hurt. A bunch of construction materials, specifically.
I would say rather badly hurt is accurate. That's when you slice the top of your foot open?
Oh, yeah, my ankle, actually, right over my tendons. Yeah, and my pronation tendon packet sheath. And I had a bunch of really heavy, sharp-edged galvanized metal roofing panels fall, like 70 of them fall on my left foot and ankle. And a bunch of them, one of them cut me really, really badly. I couldn't walk for a long time and I was pinned. I couldn't get the weight off me and it was extremely bloody. They had to take me to the medical post and then to the emergency room in Hyann and tetanus shots and stitches and rehabilitation, the whole deal. So I got to Campo a few weeks ago, and one of the guys
that made fun of you about that.
Yeah, one of the guys that was there that day, he was driving the Mototag, the three-wheeled, cargo moto that had the construction materials that they fell off of. Pipo, Jessica Guerrero's brother, Pipo was there, and Pipo was like, he came walking up to me and he was limping, exaggerated. He said, had any stuff fall on your foot lately?
Yeah. Hey, had you tendon sliced apart lately? Tell me.
Yeah. So Peruvians are definitely down.
Right. So your nickname would be like Tendon from then on.
Yeah, El Tendon.
El Tendon. Yeah. Why do you call it that? Yeah, he sliced open his foot with some
I dropped a bunch of stuff on his foot and he nearly lost the use of his left leg.
Yeah. In this case, it wasn't even your fault. He dropped it on you and he's making fun of you.
Well, to be fair, it was my fault. I put myself in the position for this to happen. He was just driving. It wasn't his fault.
Okay.
So,
Hey, bro, I looked up the word exasperated.
No, it's not exasperate. It's exacerbate.
Oh, exacerbate. Sorry.
Yes, not exasperate. Exasperate is to cause someone frustration or
hold on.
Or
yeah, that's right. Exacerbate. To make a problem.
CER.
Wait. Yeah, exacerbate. Sorry. To make a problem, bad situation, or negative feeling worse.
Oh, it only applies on.
I knew it had a negative connotation, bro.
I thought that it meant to amplify and increase. I didn't realize it was restricted to the negative sense. I thought that exacerbate could also be a positive connotation.
All right.
Now look up connotation, since I know that you didn't know what I just said. All right, I stand corrected.
Good times,
as usual, bro. Adam just putting on his Geely suit and sniping.
So hey, actually, I never wrote very much at all before I started writing our daily newsletter.
It shows. Yeah,
for the chocolate business. It's getting better, but yeah, in the beginning it was much rougher. But dude, I am just learning in these podcasts and from writing. Like, I know what a bunch of words mean. I didn't know.
Like, it's in there. You didn't know.
Like the fourth word I've heard you use, and I go, you know what? I think I don't know.
Now, to be fair, I had the gist of that word correct. It's just that I thought it went in positive and negative directions. It does mean what I thought it meant. It just can't be used the way I used
Brian, if we had the gist of fermenting cacao, would that be enough?
Brian, Adam Pearson, talk about coming in hot. Oh my goodness,
Brian, would the gist of how to do a math problem get your daughter a good grade on her math exam? I don't think so, Brian. You need to know the exact specifications.
All right, fair enough. Well played.
Dude, honestly, anytime we have a conversation, I'm usually wrong, or like anytime we have a dispute or a disagreement, I'm wrong like 95% of the time. So I savor these moments when I can be right.
Savor it. Get some umami on that thing and just savor it.
And I've mentioned this on previous podcasts, but to this day, if I get a phone call from you, I'm pretty sure I did something wrong, and you're about to yell at me.
And you're not wrong. That's correct.
No. It's like, oh no, Brian's calling.
Oh man,
I don't want to answer it. I guess I better.
Now what did I do?
And then you don't yell at me, and I'm like, oh, all right, everything's fine.
That was a fairly pleasant interaction. That's a win, solid win.
And like I was saying about the 95%, probably 99% of all of our interactions are pleasant, but somehow you're occupying some mind space where I always think you're going to get mad at me for something. Probably because I keep correcting your vocabulary and I feel guilty about it.
That's right. Yeah. Well, as you should. But let's move on.
All right, let's move on. So we're we're talking about go ahead.
Before we get into the recap, I just want to update people on the state of Diet chocolate. So like 3 things to say on that. One is the cooler weather has come. There's only 3 states left on our no shipping list. That's Florida is now open, Texas, Arizona, and Hawaii. Texas and Arizona should be off in the next probably 3 or 4 days. I'm just waiting. We normally ship several times a week, and if we were to ship chocolate this Thursday or Friday, it might still hit some hot temperatures in Texas, but it looks like it's fine after that. So this weekend should be no problem to order. Arizona looks the same way, should be no problem to order this weekend. Hawaii doesn't ever really cool down, but it's getting down to where we can do it. So I would predict that those 3 are going to be off the no ship list. and everywhere is going to be fine. Also, we got an inquiry from the U.S. Virgin Islands the other day. We'll be opening up Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and those areas as well. So going to be no restrictions very, very shortly. Secondly, we got a retail store open over here in Issaquah, Washington, and the east side suburbs of Seattle. Why don't you tell everybody just a little bit about the store, Adam, and invite them in?
I'm going to. I just wanted to comment on how wild it is, how hot it stayed for so long. I mean, we stopped shipping chocolate for like five months, man.
Yeah, at least in the very southern band of the country. Yeah, that's that, the climate is changing and it's getting warmer, and without trying to be political or controversial about it, the tendency is very clear, and this is going to be kind of the new way things are. So.
For sure, and it's affecting the farmers in Campo too. Like it's
absolutely.
Yeah. So the retail store is pretty awesome. We've got a friend of ours who's the husband of one of the gals who was helping us with our shipping. Rosa, her husband Javier, works for us.
Javier, great guy. Really like Javier.
Great guy. And I knew he had a culinary background. I wasn't aware about the extent to which he is creative with food and has experience working with chocolate. So we're giving away free hot chocolate all day, every day. I mean, you could Google us, Fortunato Chocolate Issaquah. The address is 1445 Northwest Mall Street, Suite E3, Issaquah, Washington, 98027.
Is it Suite E3 or just Suite 3?
E3. We're in Building E.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, in the complex. But Javier made something yesterday, bro, that is epic, and you would be doing yourself a real service to leave the office you're in right after this podcast, go over to the store and get one of the free marshmallow pops that we're giving away. So he made like marshmallow pops on a popsicle stick.
Yeah, are you meaning a hot chocolate bomb? Like
no, he's making hot chocolate bombs too. Okay. But no, it's like a marshmallow pop. It's a popsicle stick. He bought some molds. He used milk and dark, the 36% milk and the 68% dark. In the mold, you put like a cluster of marshmallows around the popsicle stick. It hardened. You take it out of the mold, and it's like marshmallows clustered with dark chocolate, our dark chocolate over it. And we use, we bought the fancy high-end marshmallows. You can't use cheap marshmallows. Come on,
dude. I mean, come on. These are craft marshmallows. I think it goes without saying. I mean,
there actually is a craft marshmallow company, and those are the marshmallows that I bought. So, for the little kiddies that come into the store, we're giving those away, and for the adults who are children at heart,
giving them away. Look, these kids are going to pay top dollar for these marshmallows, bro. You gotta get the. Come on, they got lunch money. They got their allowances. They want those marshmallows.
So,
bathed in amazing chocolate. We got to start sticking it to these kids, bud.
So we're giving these away, we are selling them as well. So we're selling a box. Right. We're selling a box of 10 for $15, which is a steal. I mean, it's. So I picked one of those up thinking it was going to be something kind of lighthearted. It's a little like a little kiddie's children marshmallow pop.
Yeah,
delicious.
I bet.
Outrageous, bro. Because of the dark chocolate.
Yeah.
It's not a little kid thing. I mean, it's something that adults can enjoy.
Although if you did that same thing with milk chocolate, it might be more of a kid's thing. But this sounds like something in Peru called beso de moza. Do you remember those?
I don't.
This is something that has a little bit of like a graham cracker crust, and then like a sort of, it starts wide and it gets narrow, and then it gets wide, and then it comes to a top, and it's basically marshmallow filling with a thin sheet of chocolate around it, and they're really, really good. And this sounds along those same lines. It's a great combo.
Well, here's what I love that we're doing in the shop, bro. This is what I love that we're doing. The hot chocolate that we make, that we give away for free, is by any measurement a gourmet hot chocolate. That is just about the best hot chocolate you could buy, made with top ingredients. We're using Fortunato No. 4 chocolate in there.
You can bring any brand of hot chocolate measuring device in there, and this is going to register as a gourmet.
If you put the sensor on it, right, you hit it with the little sensor,
the little red laser dot thing.
The green, like the red, yellow, green bar, green all the way at the end, being
absolutely
100% gourmet. It'll register. We're giving it to kids. We're giving it to families. Like previously, our chocolate was only available in high-end places. High-end restaurants used by elite chocolatiers. Now we just got regular folks eating marshmallow pops made with some of the world's finest chocolate, and it's pretty awesome. And I can see it on the face when they eat it. Like a little kid bites into it, and this little kid's like, The
Can
little
you give
kids.
me an example? Can you give me a sort of an impression of what it would look like if a little kid came in and tried this marshmallow pop? Can you show us what
Yeah,
that looks like?
so the little kid thinks they're getting a regular marshmallow pop, right?
Okay,
And they think
right.
it's going to be lighthearted and super sugary. They
Uh-huh.
eat it, and I can just see like a little,
So how does that go?
oh, like here it is. Ready?
Oh,
They
yeah,
get a
let's see it.
little,
Yeah.
thought. They eat it, and they get a little thoughtful. Oh,
Oh,
this
that's
is
it's like really?
yeah. So I just like the idea that we're giving high quality stuff to
Mhm.
kids and regular people at a price that's not that much more. It's a very fair price.
I have
It's
an
just-
idea.
I
Call
just
me
love.
crazy.
I just love that, man.
I love it. I love it. We should
Yeah.
put up we should put a camera and put it live stream on the internet, the pop cam,
Yeah.
marshmallow pop cam, and just have live stream the kids' reactions. And then I'm waiting for the day when that one kid in 1,000 who's not crazy about it kind of goes,
Nah. Or,
and just kinda, yeah, just
yeah, I've had better.
yeah, I've been better. I went
yeah.
to this. I remember upstate New York. I went to a craft chocolate place and
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I like those better. Yeah,
It's
their
like-
interpretation.
So I like the Walmart chocolate pop. I like the Walmart pops better.
That could actually happen, but that's
not gonna. That can't happen, bro.
No,
Yeah.
but that's great to hear about the retail store, and we invite everybody to come out
Yeah. No,
and
it's
check
killer.
out the store. Yeah,
And we're making new stuff all the time. So Brian, but please, Brian, go get a marshmallow pop for yourself.
I'm gonna go get a marshmallow
Will
pop.
you, will you commit to doing that?
I'm
Bring
gonna
one-
commit to doing that. I'm gonna take one to the house, see what the people think, and
Yeah.
we're gonna. But that's great. I just want to remind everybody that online, fortunatochocolate.com, you can go get your order in. As of now, we've got no kind of shipping delays. We haven't experienced any problems with USPS. You're fine to order for Christmas. We have everything in stock. And what soon, hopefully, once we're kind of going through the development phase on all these products, but very shortly we should be able to offer some of these products.
We will.
Once we
We
ramp
will.
up production, we'll be able to offer some of these products online. So look for that. We'll announce it when those go up. But thank you, everybody. I just want to start this, Adam, by saying thanks to the people who are listening, to
Agreed.
the people who are buying. It's just wonderful. We can't do this without you, and we do it for you. And every time you buy, you're legitimately helping farmers sort of escape from a cycle of that they've been subject to for as long as cacao has been grown down there. So we really appreciate it. And on their behalf, thank you to everybody.
Yeah. And we do the podcasts and we send out the daily email and we're giving away free hot chocolate and all that stuff. It's not some cynical ploy to trick you into buying chocolate from us, which I hope you could understand from talking to us. This is not a cynical ploy. Like, we do all this stuff because or is it, Brian? On my part, it's not.
I feel like I'm taking a bite of the pop, and I'm like, could this be a cynical ploy?
Yeah.
Could it be a cynical ploy?
We're like, I got kids, Brian's got kids. Like,
Mhm.
we're doing all this because we're a family business. We care about the Peruvian cacao farmers. We care about our
Mhm.
customers. It's like, it all comes from a place of authentic joy in what we do. So
That's right.
thank you all. And like Brian said, none of this could happen without the patronage of our great customers.
100%. Having said all that, let's get back into the
Yeah.
chocolate.
Yeah, bro.
process. So I'm going to give it a quick recap. We've
Let's do
talked about the cacao coming off the tree, about getting fermented, about getting dried, the export, the logistics, arriving to the factory. We've talked about how they clean it, decontaminate it, how they roast it, how they crack it, how they winnow it. From the winnowing, they grind it, and through several processes, it goes into a tank, and then they refine it. And now what you've got is like semi-finished chocolate after refining and melanging. The mélangeur, as you recall.
You love saying like French words, dude. I've noticed that about you.
Oui, Adam. Oui.
I met, so I was out, just quick side note, sorry. I was out just talking to people in the neighborhood, trying to tell them about the shop, and I ran into somebody from Quebec,
Mhm.
and she was kind of snooty.
Un
She was cool.
Québécois, un Québécois.
Yeah, she's a little snooty, but she was cool. Actually, we ended up getting along. But
Whoa. Are you implying that all Quebecois are
I'm not.
snooty, Adam? Because it sounded like you were
No.
calling the people
No.
from Quebec snooty.
I'm not. But she did do this. I said, I said, hey, you got an accent. Where are you from? And she's like, I'm from Quebec, or however you would say that. You can do better accent. And then she gave it a beat, and she said, it's in Canada. And then walked away. Like, I'd be too stupid to know where Quebec was.
Cretinous American would not know that Quebec is in Canada. That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
She correctly assumed that the average American would not know.
I did know, but
Yeah.
I followed her, and
But did you though?
I did. Did I know about that Quebec was in
Did you know
Canada?
Quebec was in Canada?
Yeah.
Are you aware that Canada is our neighbor to the north, Adam? Is that something that's in your knowledge base?
Don't make me Google this, Brian. I'm pretty sure it's not.
Adam, can you name 4 Canadian provinces
I
from
think
right
I
now.
think
Right
let's
now.
see. British Columbia is one.
That's one.
Quebec.
That's two.
All right. I do know Edmonton.
That's a
Is that a
city.
city?
Should I subtract one for that? Or is that
No.
no, okay,
Isn't Saskatchewan one?
Saskatchewan, I believe, is a city as well.
It's not a province.
I don't think so.
All right. Well, you
I may be wrong on that, but you're missing. Okay, the home of Ontario is the home of Toronto is Ontario. That's another one.
Ontario's a province.
Ontario is a province. There's the Maritime provinces.
They're called the Maritime provinces.
Yes, they have something called the Maritime
so
provinces.
I have them up here. When I said Edmonton, I meant to say Alberta.
Alberta is right. Alberta.
Yeah. Saskatchewan is one. So I got three. Manitoba.
Okay, so you got three. Yeah, Manitoba.
Quebec. I mean, all things considered, then you got the Northwest Territories.
The Northwest Territories is where a lot of their Native and First Nations people live.
And then Yukon, Ontario.
Yukon, that's the one I couldn't think of. Yukon is up by Alaska. Yep.
Yeah. All right. I mean, all things considered.
BC. All things considered, you feel like you failed that test. But hey, good try, bro. Good try, bro.
All things considered, I got like a 35%. So.
Absolutely. All things considered, we're gonna have to remediate you, but hey, good job.
But I had the gist of it, right?
Touche, sir.
Yeah.
Touche.
All right. So after the melanger, all the ingredients are mixed together in the melanger.
Right. You've got semi-finished chocolate, but now comes the magic step in chocolate making. This is the thing that most people that don't make chocolate for a living don't know about, and it's called conching. And what conching does is it continues to break down the particle size of the chocolate, and it through repetitive motion and basically slowly and with heat and sometimes pressure applied, it sort of breaks down the structure of the chocolate in it. What it does is it really, really evenly distributes all that cocoa butter, all the lipids that are in this very, very evenly. It makes sure that the sugar and the cocoa solids are broken down to the requisite level of fineness. We mentioned last week that you want to get chocolate down to less than 20 microns. If anything less than 20 microns is considered an adequate fineness for chocolate, and you can really feel that difference. It's what they say is that is small enough to where it hits your tongue and it kind of gets in between your taste buds, and it gives it that silky smooth, that creamy mouthfeel. There's no kind of grittiness to it, and that's a function of the fineness. And it allows, because the particles are so small, it allows them to really interact in such a way with your taste buds that it enhances the flavor greatly. So that's why you want that fineness.
That's interesting. So it's not just a mouthfeel thing. It's not just a textural thing.
It's a flavor thing as well.
It's actually a flavor thing. That is pretty interesting.
Surface area. So if you think if you ever notice this, there's a difference in the way that a thick chunk of meat tastes to a very thin sliced piece of deli meat. Mm-hmm. And this is why most people on average would prefer a thinly sliced piece of deli meat to a thickly sliced piece of deli meat. It has to do with the way the flavor, the way that thinness creates a different kind of a flavor, it impacts your mouth differently.
Gotcha.
And chocolate's the same way. And so the conch, it distributes all that cocoa butter. It breaks everything down. It absolutely mixes everything into a perfect mix. And it also, as it breaks things down, the internal cell walls are kind of rupturing, and it's releasing volatiles. It's releasing. So we've talked earlier about in the fermentation that one of the big byproducts of fermentation is a mixture of acetic acid plus water, which is commonly known as vinegar. And you want the vinegar in there because it means you've got a well-fermented bean. We do our pre-dry, which is a process of keeping the pores on the skin of the bean kind of open and allowing them to start drying with a big aperture in the pore, which allows not just a water molecule to come out, but water molecule bonded to acetic acid, or vinegar molecules to come out, which are much bigger. If you have a pore that's closed down, the water comes out, but the acetic acid is stripped and stays in there, and you get a high concentration of acid. We do a pre-dry so that those pores stay open and the vinegar molecule entirely can come out. There's still some residual acid, and when you're conching, you release that acid. You can smell it in the air. And all this breaking down of the cell walls, it releases chemical compounds that are the flavor precursors for chocolate. These are different in every chocolate. There are chocolates that have dominant flavors of red fruit, citrus fruit, vanilla, nuts, spices, pepper, there are all these different flavor compounds, and it depends on where it's grown and what the genetic variety is and how it's fermented and how it's dried, how all those flavors develop. Well, the conch is that last step. It starts to allows all that vinegar and a lot of the anything that could potentially be an off flavor to get out, to outgas out of this. And it allows all those flavor precursor compounds to mix together and form the final flavors of the chocolate into what you into those good flavor notes that you want in a fine chocolate. That's what the conching does for chocolate.
What a freaking beautiful explanation, bro.
And it's
Dang,
just,
man.
it's magic. Now, if you've ever, I don't know if you've never made chocolate.
I never have. No.
Okay. So what happens is when you put this semi-finished chocolate mass into the conch, it smells, tastes, and feels one way. And as it goes through the conching process, it just starts to change. It has this metamorphosis. It gets glossy and gorgeous. The color changes, the mouthfeel changes. It gets that silky, beautiful texture in your mouth, and the flavors start to, you can smell the vinegar and anything else, sometimes a little bit of a smoky or whatever flavor. And it starts, all that stuff starts to come out and it's in the air. And as you taste the chocolate, it starts to take on the flavor. In our case, as these beans develop, you start to get fruity flavors in there, like a raisiny fruity note, a red fruit, like a plum note, almost a little bit of a wine flavor almost, because there's still some alcohol compounds in there and tannins from the purple beans. And it gets a nutty sort of creaminess, and it starts to develop. And so in the factory in Switzerland, just to let people understand what a slow and beautiful transmogrification, if I may, Adam.
I'm going to Google. I don't think you're using that correctly.
Please do. It transmogrifies. Yeah. By the way, I'm fully admitting I may be using that wrong.
I'm pretty sure that only applies to other food that's not chocolate. But yeah, go
ahead. Darn it. Called me again.
Yeah. It's a transformation of any non-chocolate food item. I'm pretty sure is what the definition is.
Life was a lot better before people started calling me in my stuff, man. I'll tell you.
You've been explaining this to your 7-year-old. So how's Dominic now?
Dominic's 6 now. Yeah.
When you explain this to your 6-year-old son, it's it comes away with that. There's no challenging at all.
The problem is he's got a 13-year-old sister, and
she challenges everything.
So he's starting to pick up bad habits from her.
Oh, is he?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it starts to transform. Now at the Felklin factory, they do this for 60 hours, Adam. What happens for 60 hours in the modern world? Nothing goes on for 60 hours.
No, nothing. Almost nothing.
I mean, it's unbelievable. It's 2.5 days.
Yeah.
I'm no mathematician, Adam, but I'm pretty sure that
it's around that.
2.5 days is either 60 or 600 hours. It's one of those two. Okay. Yeah. And so it's unbelievable.
I could Google it if we just need a fact check on that.
Stop falling back on Google. Get some knowledge for yourself.
All right.
But the point is, it takes more than a couple of days to conch.
So I was just talking to our partner Dan, and he pointed out that in order and maybe hopefully we'll go more into this, but the conches that we're using to make our chocolate are refurbished machines. You mentioned it in a previous podcast that they were discovered in a Spanish castle?
In a castle in Spain, where the Swiss company Lindt had been producing chocolate for the Spanish market all the way back in the 19th century.
Yeah. And so what Dan pointed out to me as well is that the heating element, which we've discussed before, is heated by motion, not by electricity. But it takes 29 hours even for it to fully get to the temperature it needs to be to.
That's right. So
which is pretty wild.
A more modern conch looks like a big metal cylinder. A really big modern conch is too big. I mean, it's probably 6 feet across, and maybe 4 feet high with a central spindle. And it's a big stainless steel cylinder, and there's a chamber in between the outer and inner edges. And in that chamber, they can circulate hot or cold water to adjust the temperature of the chocolate mass that's in the machine. And they have very heavy stone. It has a stone surface on the bottom and these big stone wheels that go around and around and around and around. And as it traps chocolate in between the stone surface and the stone wheel. And as that stone wheel rolls over, any chocolate that was underneath it gets crushed between the two, and it breaks the particles open, and it's basically a long, slow super grind. But as you said, it takes 29 hours. With the modern conch, in 20 minutes, they can be up to temperature, and it doesn't allow that slow transformation, that slow buildup of flavors. And it, frankly, almost all chocolate that anybody can eat is done rapidly in a modern conch that has temperature control. And it doesn't mean it's bad chocolate. It's just different.
It's just
But
different. Yeah.
there are some.
So would the difference be between like taking a piece of meat and throwing it on a super hot grill, or slow cooking it in an oven and basting it and all that? You know, how they do barbecue, for example, where they slow cook it for many days as opposed to just grilling something real quick?
The difference is in options. If you do something slow, you have more options. There's more off ramps. So
well said.
if you're speeding down the highway, you can miss. You have less options. But if you go slow, you have more options in how to develop the flavor. There's more available. There's more choices available. So
Gotcha.
when you have a 14-hour conch, there's things beyond that you just can't get to. But if you do a slow conch, so like I say, it's never a case of one's good and one's bad. It's different. And modern conches result in spectacular chocolate every day. But for our particular beans, that incredible 700 years of experience brain trust at Falkland understood that it's going to take a little different type of processing, an older, slower processing, because we have older, not slower, but we have older genetically heirloom beans, and they require a different conching profile, and only those old conches will do. And so instead of a cylinder of metal with a temperature chamber, these are like two tanks that are about 3 foot by 5 feet. And there's two tanks that are sort of in a parallel line. In the middle of this is a big wheel with two arms coming off it. And at the end of those arms come off it and then go down. And the bottom of those arms are stone wheels. And there's a stone surface to this thing. And as that wheel rotates, those arms that come off it are on a swiveling connection. And the arms, there's video of this that you've put up on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
Those arms, it's sort of like a railroad wheel where you've got a rod attached to a wheel. And as it turns, the rod there's a drive wheel, and the rod turns other wheels and pulls the train. In this case, there's a wheel turning, and it kind of goes like this. And it pushes that wheel back and forth within this tank, and it creates this wave action, and you get this constant motion. The stone wheel is crushing and breaking down the chocolate underneath it, and as it moves and kind of creates this little wave, those tanks have a sort of a splash guard thing on top of them, because as the stone comes out, the chocolate sort of reacts and splashes and goes back, and it creates this constant movement of the chocolate in this crazy figure eight. And the friction of this motion, the friction and the motion create heat, and it heats up. I can't remember what the temperature is exactly, but, and over time that develops the incredible flavor that is Fortunato No. 4 chocolate.
So let me chime in here.
Mm-hmm.
Just as a interesting tidbit, I know that because the cocoa bean that we work with, the Pure Nacional that we buy, it has a higher fat content than many other beans. They actually have to do smaller batches in these conches because it splashes around so much, which I found to be pretty interesting. And another point here is also that we have been told that processing our cacao uses significantly less energy, less electricity, for the exact same reason that if you have like really thick cocoa beans that don't have as much fat content, as you start to heat them up, they're much thicker, and the machine has to work a lot harder to move it around and conch it. So a couple of interesting points of the effect that a higher cocoa butter content has on machines.
Yeah, and I think if I'm correct, and I may not be correct, I think this is right. There are only 3 beans that Falkland uses these older conches on. And they're all old heirloom style beans. One from Bolivia, one from Peru, ours, and one from Venezuela. I believe those are the only beans that they'll run through these older machines. Everything else they run through the modern machines. All their chocolate's great, but it's next level stuff when they use the old 19th century lint conches.
Yeah, and of course it's very inefficient for them as a company to do this.
That's right.
So
it takes a lot of time, a lot.
Yeah. And the machines are much smaller. It takes a lot of time. They can't do batches that are as big, and they're a big company. That's right. So really, this is strictly reserved for passion projects for them, where they consider like the integrity of the company requires them to do it for these special cocoa cacao origins.
That's right. They've actually kind of used that phraseology with
Yeah.
us. Like it's an issue of integrity with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why we love Felkland, because those guys are the best. Inception Buckler, the chief chocolate maker at Felkland, is an absolute stickler and a more knowledgeable person I don't believe could be found on the face of the earth in terms of making chocolate and bringing out those amazing flavors. He's just
Yep.
top notch in every respect.
We've been working with them for a long time, and I think it's fair to say we're loyalists. We've had the opportunity to work with other chocolate companies, but it ain't going to happen. We're sticking with them.
As long as they'll have us, we're there.
As long
with
as they'll
Felkland.
have us. Absolutely.
right.
All right,
Yeah.
bro. So what happens after the conching? We're going to run short on time. So take us into
Okay.
tempering.
After conching, you've got finished chocolate in its hot liquid form. Okay. And now, this is not to say that you would want to just start eating it then, because chocolate needs to age. We'll talk a little bit about aging, but next you need to temper it. What is tempering? Everybody's always talking about this tempering, Adam.
I know
Does
it's a hot topic.
chocolate, is chocolate in a bad mood? Does it have a temper? What are we talking about here?
It's trending, this tempering thing.
I'll tell you what.
I don't even know what it's trending means.
But
I've just heard people say it.
all I know is that you can only trend in one direction, but not the other
Yeah.
direction.
Up?
Much like I'm not sure about, obviously. I don't know which direction, but I know it's only one direction. It's much like exacerbate in that sense. Yes.
Well, if it was trending down, I don't think people would be talking about it. So it must be trending up. So go ahead.
I'll leave that to you. You're young and hip in a way that I'll never be. So
Oh yeah, that's true.
yeah. So tempering is a method of taking chocolate up, and then quickly down in temperature, which has an effect on the orientation of the cocoa butter to the sugar. It has to line up in a certain direction. It has to line up a certain way in order for chocolate to have its maximum flavor value and its best mouthfeel. It's the best way I can describe it. People can,
And the correct texture for a lot of the confections, a lot of the chocolate, like a lot of the dishes that use chocolate, we're accustomed to having it feel a certain way when we bite into it and having a
That's right.
particular snap.
Mhm.
That requires a proper
So-
lining up, and tempering is the process that makes that happen.
That's right. You can have chocolate that's not tempered, and tempering. So if chocolate's not tempered, it tends to not have as good a flavor. It doesn't feel the same. It can be a little bit like spongy on the inside. So it seems weird that these microscopic particles need to all line up in a certain way. And I don't know of another food that has this requirement the way that chocolate does.
How do they discover this?
I don't know. I honestly don't know the history of tempering. And now tempering can be done by hand. You can do it by hand by heating over a steam table and then taking it out and putting it on like a marble slab and turning it a certain way to have it cool at a certain pace, and then heating it and then cooling it and then refrigerating it after you mold it. There's ways to do it. It's almost entirely done by machines now that go through a cycle of heating and cooling and movement that properly tempers. There's also a way to do it by what's called seeding, where you drop in tempering crystals that have the superpower, the mystical, magical superpower of causing the rest of the crystals to line up properly.
You know how they make the tempering crystals, right?
I assume that gnomes are doing
Gnomes.
that.
It's the gnomes.
I haven't spoken to any gnomes that I know about it, but I assumed it was a gnome function.
Yeah, I know it happens out in the forests of the Swiss Alps,
Mhm.
and the gnomes make them. Yeah.
And they must obviously have the gnomes that are inside the sizing machine are tied into this whole business, and they must maybe when they go home on like
I don't know the secrets of the gnomes, but yeah, somehow they make them. I know that.
Yes, well, they are a wise race.
Yeah, wily as well.
They're
Wise and wily.
Wise, yes. So you temper it, and once you've got tempered chocolate, you've got a product that is ready to be molded into whatever mold you want to put it in. Now, molding is a big deal in the chocolate industry. We should say a little something, because if I get any feedback about our molding from folks, it's that they would like our chocolate to be thinner and easier to eat right off the bar.
I sympathize with that.
Molding is a really expensive and time-consuming part of the chocolate making process. The smaller your mold is, the more specialized the mold, the equipment. And so what molding basically is, you take this tempered chocolate and you put it into typically a silicone or phthalate free harder plastic mold. And Then you vibrate it to shake any possible like air bubbles out and to make sure it's coating the entire inside of the mold so that it's perfect. And then you have to chill it, and you have to chill it at a certain temperature drop pace, and it's got to be perfectly tempered, and the molds have to be at the right temperature to accept the chocolate. And when all that comes together, it won't stick to the mold, it won't crack, it won't get dull spots or anything like that, and you come out with a beautiful, glossy, delicious, ready to eat bar of chocolate. And the molding, the reason it's so expensive is you have to have a massive investment in the molds itself, the machinery, the line that moves it, and then you have to have a place for them to cool, and then you've got to manually take them out and so forth, and feed them into the wrapping machine, etc. It's very painstaking to take chocolate out of the molds. That's where you can mar or hurt the chocolate, and you have to send it back through that expensive part of the line.
Let me comment here. Let me chime in with where you're going here. Generally speaking, also Falkland, the manufacturer we work with, doesn't really make chocolate for a commercial market.
That's right.
Most of their clientele is chocolatiers. How would you say that in France? Chocolatier. How do you say
chocolatier.
Chocolatier. Very good. In Quebec too, same thing. I believe that's in Canada. And so I'm sure of it. I just Googled it. So
really?
Yeah, I Googled it. It's one of the provinces.
I don't know of this Canada of which you speak.
So, and a lot of people who have been following us know that we exclusively served restaurants and chocolatiers. I mentioned it previously in this episode. So the molds that Falkland uses are, generally speaking, the types of molds that restaurants and chocolatiers would want, which means they have a couple. They have the little circles. What are they called again?
Those can be drops.
They're like the drops. They got a specific name, which I don't remember. But the other option is the big 1.1 500 gram bars, and we went with the 1.1 500 gram bars because they cost less. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. That's why we chose that. But they don't make a regular sized, like grocery store sized bar.
No.
And so in order for us to do that for our customers, we would have to charge much more. And we're doing our best to bring a world-class chocolate to the market at a price that's comparable to what people are already used to paying.
Right.
That's a big part of the reason why we use the molds.
It's the main part of the reason, because so we're paying an absolutely top of market price for these beans because we give the farmers more money for their beans, and that's by design. We want to do that. We enjoy doing that. We ship them all the way around the world. We make the chocolate, we bring it all the way back to the other side of the world, and then we move it out to the folks, and all that comes with a cost. And our chocolate on a price is competitive with chocolate that is vastly inferior despite those super costs. The only way we can do that, the only way we can maintain, and everything's more expensive these days. Everybody knows inflation is up, prices are up, everything is taken longer and costs more. And the absolute only way that we can maintain some kind of competitive price with chocolate, with really inferior chocolates, and give people a price that's comfortable for them to invest in our chocolate, is by using these big molds. And so we've really looked, but within the Falkland context, and we must have it made there because they're the only ones in the world with these kinds of conches and that can develop this kind of flavor. Within the context of Falkland, there is no plan B. It'd be to be able to change those molds at this time. We're not a big enough client of theirs to induce them to make the investments it would take.
And let me point out something else. I remember not that long ago, maybe it was like 3 or 4 years ago, we were looking at doing some other kinds of retail products. And one of the guys we met with said something that I always remember. He said, for a lot of the bars that he was selling into grocery stores, the packaging actually costs more than the chocolate.
That's right.
So like the printing, the molding, the wrapping it up, like all the machines that it takes to actually package a smaller bar.
Labels. Yes.
Yeah, to a very large extent, when you buy certain bars from the grocery store,
that's right,
you're buying the packaging. You're primarily buying the packaging.
This is not so much of a grocery. It's not so much a grocery store phenomenon. It's more of a fine chocolate phenomenon because they use much better packaging.
Yeah, no, but in this case, this was a fine chocolate guy, but he also had a non-fine chocolate line.
Okay.
And he was using such cheap cacao and chocolate to make some of the stuff he was making. But he was packaging it up so it looked like something good, even though what was inside was bad.
Right, I hear you.
That he mentioned that, and for these particular bars, the packaging costs a little bit more than the chocolate.
That's unbelievable. So
And we
yeah,
just,
so
that's why we use Ziploc bags, and we, you know, we use stickers for our labels. I mean, we just are trying to
right.
keep it, we're selling chocolate, right? We're not selling packaging. And that's
Mhm.
a big part of the reason why we use the molds we use.
And so we beg your forbearance, all those folks who are listening who have thought, boy, I'd like this to be in a little bit more
Yeah.
accessible presentation. So would we, but there's a bunch of really valid reasons why we do it that way. It keeps it accessible. From a price perspective, it keeps it competitive. It allows us to pay those farmers a dignified and just price for their cacao. And that's the baseline that we just can't, that we won't compromise on. And so every business has to make compromises somewhere, and that's the compromise we've had to make to be able to make this thing work. And
Yes.
so
Although in the store, if somebody has a special request for us to cut a bar in half, we will do
Right.
that.
yes.
Yeah. We'll do that in the store.
And we're constantly, we're not sanguine about this. We haven't just closed that door. We're constantly looking for an opening to be able to
Yeah.
get that done and maintain our price structure
Good
and
point.
maintain our sort of commitment to the farmers. The math hasn't worked at any point yet. So we're never going to give up looking for that solution, but that solution's not apparent at this time.
Got it. Well,
Yeah.
hey, bro, we're gonna have to wrap it up because I got a little bit of a heart out here. So that got us all the way through molding, bro.
That's right. And I thought it was going to be like a seven part just on conching, but I was able to get through that with a minimum of fuss. So
No, you did a great
Yeah.
job, and your description of conching is probably one of the best I've ever heard, bro. So congrats.
absolutely. Have you heard a lot of descriptions of conching? Is that something
haven't.
that's
I've been to
common thing?
I mean, I've been to a lot of like fine chocolate industry association meetings. I know you were trying to make a little sarcastic comment there, but actually I
Mhm.
have.
Okay.
So there you go.
Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
good. Well, I'm going to accept that. I'm going to accept that compliment, and I'm going to
Well,
return one to
what,
you.
how would you define a bunch, by the way?
I mean, if I had a bunch of bananas, I'd consider it to be 4 or 5.
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah. I've probably heard
Oh.
half a dozen descriptions of conching.
All right. Excellent. Well, I'm glad I made the cut, and I appreciate that, bro. And I know you got to go. So again, to everyone that's listening, we've walked you all the way through that chocolate making process. You know, what's left is more logistics, and you don't need to learn about boxing and pallet wrapping and things like that. But I would just say that as much care goes into then taking that finished chocolate and getting it to us and us getting it to you, as the whole rest of what we've described. So
Most definitely, bro. And
absolutely.
we're in the game of making people happy. So all the little details that go into making people happy is a part of it. You want to see what I just bought, Brian, before I sign off?
Is this going to make me happy? Are you in that game with me? Or?
I think this will make you happy, bro.
All right, let's see it, bro.
So I just bought these really cool thank you notes.
Oh, that's nice.
High quality thank you notes, bro. I'm stoked on these.
Excellent.
I'm gonna be sending out handwritten thank you notes to our customers, especially our customers who have bought from us a number of times, saying thank you, individual thank you from this guy right here.
That's
going out to our
fantastic.
customers, bro.
And the best
So-
part of the best part of that idea is that you're doing it and I don't have to. So
you
that's
want, me to put,
amazing.
you want me to put your name on it?
You can put my name on it. Absolutely. I'll give you do you want like a stamp to put my signature?
No, I'll just say
Something
thank
like
you
that?
from Adam and Brian.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, you know
man.
what? I'll
I
put
love it.
Dan on there too. I'll say thank you from Adam, Brian, and Dan.
Put Dan up on there. And by the way, I'm being sarcastic about it, but I'm not sarcastic in the least about how thankful we are for our clients. Like we're really, when I answer the emails, when I see the reviews that come in, and like we got a 3-star review the other day, and he said, it's okay. And I have a standard response that I put on there, which, about how it's subjective, and we know that most people love what we do, but we hope you find your perfect chocolate in the future, and good luck. And I really do mean all that, but I don't know how they give it a 3-star on them. It's great. And my gosh, we do it for the folks that love it. And we just appreciate our clients so much. We really do.
Well said, bro. That's the best of the best explanations of somebody saying how much they love their clients as well.
Of the half a dozen that you've
I've heard
heard.
probably half a dozen.
Okay.
Yeah.
a bunch.
Yeah, I've heard a bunch, and that was one of the best too. So well played. So hey, everybody, don't forget to check us out at fortunatochocolate.com. If you're in the Seattle area or in Issaquah or Bellevue or somewhere around here, Google Fortunato Chocolate Issaquah to get directions to our retail shop.
By the way, this invitation extends as far out as, let's say, Bellingham to the north, Ellensburg to the east, and why don't we go ahead and say like Enumclaw to the south?
Fine,
Come on
yeah.
up. Come on up,
Hey,
folks.
we got people coming in from Maple Valley, so I mean, people are making the trek. And
Covington in the house. Come on,
come on,
Covington.
come on.
Come visit the store.
or if you're just just flying into Seattle on business and you want to swing by and check us out and get a gift and have some free
Nothing-
hot chocolate,
Nothing wrong with that.
come get a gourmet marshmallow pop. Brian, please, seriously, go get a gourmet marshmallow pop.
I'm gonna do that. I'm
All right,
committed.
don't forget to do that. So,
won't.
all right, everybody, we'll check us out at fortunatochocolate.com. And thank you so much for your time. And Brian, why don't you go ahead and sign us off with the Fortunato jingle, bro?
Fortunato, yum.
At the very first episode, we said we're going to work on that. We're still working. We're still using
I've
it.
done nothing.
I know.
No, that's not true. I actually went to a website where you can make your own. It's a Google thing where you can actually make your music with the piano thing. And I've got one worked up, but it's not better than me just singing it.
No, by the way, and David Anijo, our buddy and team member and great friend and customer, he's a musician, man. He plays the bass. And he
Can we get a jingle? Does anybody listening
I
do
think
jingles?
so. Look, he asked if he could be on another episode. Maybe I'll invite him to our next podcast and we can ask him about.
He's got to bring some hot sauce for this jingle. You know, he's a bass like Fortunato, yum.
Always comes back to funk with you, doesn't it?
Fortunato, yum.
It's always got a little funk.
You gotta burn off the funk, baby.
Fortunato, yum. Fortunato, yum.
Wow. I gotta get a little reverb on that last note though, for sure.
All right, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye.